What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 2 for 2, your sports podcast for the culture, by the voice of the culture. I'm your host, Quis, and I'm here as always with my brother, Nell. And we back with another episode for y'all today, man. The NBA draft is upon us, so we got to talk about it. The NBA season is not quite over yet, and we're going to get into it all, man. So we got Season 3, Episode 46. Enjoy it. Nell, my brother, how you feeling?
Doing good, man. Feeling a lot better
There you go.
than I have over the last couple of weeks. So getting back into a groove.
Hey, man, like they say, day by day to see a better day. You just got to keep living each day. It's going to get better, man. So glad to have you on here, man. We got another episode. We're going to talk about the NBA draft today. Talk about the NBA offseason. Some things have already happened in the NBA this offseason. So we're waiting on some bigger name contracts and things. But we got some coach hirings. We got one trade we want to talk about. But let's just go ahead and get right into it now. The NBA draft is upon us. I think it's Thursday? The 2-day NBA draft. I think it's Thursday. It might be tomorrow. I keep getting it mixed up. But the draft is happening this week, man. 2-day NBA draft. First, how you feel about that? A 2-day draft for a 2-round draft.
It's kind of weird to me. Draft's kind of weird to me. I'm not going to lie. Nobody really cared about the second round to begin with. So there's no way that this has been something that the audience has been salivating over and clamoring for. It's like, oh, we need a second day for the draft. Like, I don't think this is something people were asking for. I guess it came at the right year with Bronny coming out, and there's a chance he goes in the second round, but if he ends up late first round, it's gonna be a big blow to the ratings that second day. Because I can already tell you right now, I'm probably not tuning in. It's usually just for the NBA for sure. It's always just been about the first round.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. A lot of times with the NBA as well, honestly, most people kind of just want to see who goes first. Second, probably want to see your team get their draft pick in or draft pick in.
People barely, finish the entire lottery these days.
Yeah.
Lottery, I think a lot of it has to do with as many, pretty good second round picks that have been in the NBA the past couple of years, especially with Jokic being, a 3-time MVP, and everyone talks about him being drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. So I think, I think the NBA kind of doesn't want to have that labeled when, there's a chance, small chance for sure, but still a chance that, one of your premier players could be drafted during a commercial. And I think that's a big reason for it too.
Right. It's gotta be. I mean, like you said, they're trying to add some value to this entire thing. I mean, it's 2 rounds. It's not like the NFL where you get 7 rounds. You get 2 rounds. So most of these guys, like we were alluding to, outside of the lottery, most of these guys kind of become 2-way players and all. But there's a lot of times there's a hidden gem or two, and there's not much on television right now anyway. So I'm sure the NBA has the money to go ahead run this thing. It's a lot of special players, a lot of special guys. That want to. This is their moment. So I'm not mad at the NBA for trying to hone in on it. I just looked it up. The draft is actually tomorrow, so it's Wednesday, Thursday. So that'll be, I guess Thursday, Friday would have been a little bit cooler. But the NBA season, it kind of rolls around a little bit faster. We go right from the finals to the draft, and then boom, we got summer league and so on and so forth. So now let's just talk a little bit about the draft, man. I know a lot of people talked about this is one of the weaker classes. Not a lot of people really know the guys that are being kind of shopped around as that 1 and 2 pick. 2 guys from France, Alexander Sarr and my boy Zach Ricochet. Right now those are the consensus 2.
Say that name one more time.
Zachary Ricochet. That's how I'm gonna say it. That's my little French accent.
I'm gonna just come to you whenever I want to say his name.
It's bad. I gotta think every time I have to say it.
But I got you. You say it so eloquently.
Okay, I appreciate that. So then, so outside of those 2 guys, man, Alexander Sarr, 7-footer from France. Ricochet, I think he about 6'9", 6'10" from France. Is the class weak? Do you have any prospects that you're just interested in seeing? Like any guys that you like? I know I got a list of guys I'm gonna get to after you, but I know that you usually don't put a lot of stock into looking into the draft, both NBA and NFL wise. You let your teams do that for you. You inherit them, and then you do your thing after that. But just off now, looking at it a day away. What kind of guys you looking at? How you feel about the class? The depth of the class and the teams that are picking at the top.
Yeah, it's been a lot of conversation about how weak this draft is, and I would agree. Like, there's not a Victor Wembanyama in this draft. There's no LeBron. No Wiggins coming out and be like. There's no generational talents. There's no hype. Really around anyone in this draft. So, just from that perspective, just from a hype perspective, certainly weak. But I don't really like when people, just say, it's a weak draft, because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be the best professional league, in the world, and they're supposed to be able to train and develop these athletes. So, that's kind of what, a trainer and a coach's job is to take these kids and develop them into something. So, I think this is going to be a draft where, it's going to be a surprise, who ends up being the best, players among this class. But I think there could be a lot of solid, maybe not superstars, but I think you could see a lot of players that are going to stick around in the NBA from this draft.
Right, and I agree with you. I like what you said. I think it's more of a a hoopla and hype type of deal, as opposed to just like, oh, we got a bunch of sorry guys about to enter the league, right? The way they make it seem like it's like, oh, none of these guys are going to really be anything, whatever. But it's like, I mean, it's just the hype. It's hard to bounce back a year after a Victor Wembanyama type of draft where you're like, hey, he's the guy, he's been the guy. Alex Sarr has been hyped up for a very long time. Some guys that aren't going to go probably in the top 5 now that have been projected, because that's the thing about this draft as well. Like, it's a lot different than the NFL draft. A lot of these kids are projected to go. They're being put in mock drafts as soon as sophomore, junior year of high school. A guy like Isaiah Collier that played at USC this year, he was projected to be the number 1 pick all up until probably the beginning / early middle of the college basketball season, right? Like, there's a lot of good players is what I'm getting at. And I like what you said. I feel like there's more, we have a lot more guys that are just going to be solid. But I think, when you think about this, you have to take into account the overall just change in the landscape of basketball, right? Like, what's happened in college basketball as of late. We're not seeing a whole lot of freshman one and done guys that are just like dazzling at the college level like we had seen before. Like when we see Anthony Davis and those guys that were coming out, they're like, hey, he's going to go be the number 1 pick. It's clear as day. Now you got guys where, there's some mock drafts that have guys like Reed Shepherd, who a talented player, pretty good at Kentucky, very efficient shooter, scorer, but he's on the smaller side. Like, we had these guys that are getting projected, somewhere between 3 and 6, but it's like, you're not like, oh my God, Reed Shepherd, like that's really what it is. It's not that Reed Shepherd can't play, not that Reed Shepherd won't be a good, a good pro. I think a lot of these guys will be good pros. I think we'll see a lot more guys at the middle to the back half of the first round. I think even the second round, which is why they're probably showing this. A lot of guys in the second round will probably be impact guys. So I don't think you get in a big time, Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going to change the franchise type of guy, but you're going to get a guy that's going to help you win some championships, right? Like I think we were talking about somebody, we were looking at some comps, and somebody had like Derek White. Like, hey, would I draft Derek White with the number 3 pick in the draft? Probably not, but hey, that's kind of where we are in the landscape of things. So, I think we have a lot of guys that are going to actually play basketball for a very long time, in this league, and we kind of just have to accept that, for what it is. Do you have any guys that you like? Like, there's any names off top of your head that you looked at that you like? I know you like the Ricochet a little bit, but
I
who else you
mean,
see out there?
I can't say I didn't watch a lot of college basketball this year on the men's side. It was kind of trash, so don't know a lot of these guys. I'm interested in seeing where, you know, Klingon goes and Eddie goes, Edie, excuse me, just because I think there's I think there's like 7 centers projected to go first round, and um, you see in the Victor Wembanyama's and obviously Jokic and Embiid, Giannis kind of taking over the league. Kind of see it going back into a bit of a traditional, you know, way with, you know, big. So I'm just interested to kind of see what a lot of people expect them to be starters in the league. Depending on which, you know, team they go to, you know, will very well depend that, but it'll just be interesting to see what kind of roles they carve out, and, you know, just overall what the center position looks like going forward. You know, with all these 7-foot, you know, guys coming out that can do everything, like you kind of got to have, like, it's kind of starting to be important to have bigs on your team. I know, I mean, it was important for Dallas to have Gafford. You know, the Celtics aren't, I wouldn't really say the Celtics had like, Kristaps is more of like a power forward to me. He doesn't really have a lot of size. That's why I think if they played Denver, I think it would have been a problem for him with Jokic. Al Horford's like what, 6'9", 6'10", so not really a traditional center, but who won a championship before that?
Last year?
Yeah.
Nuggets?
Denver, yeah, I'm proud. Yeah, you had the Heat had Bam, Nuggets, Jokic. Lakers got one in there with, they had Dwight, AD, JaVale. Like, I think size is just starting to become more important. You see, the Timberwolves needed Rudy Gobert and Cat and Naz Reid to knock off the Nuggets. I think size is becoming more important, and, you know, with all these centers coming in, it'll just be interesting to see what kind of role they can carve out.
Yeah, I think size is definitely becoming a thing, like you said, just because there's so many guys that are just big now, honestly, that come into the league. But that's my question. My question to you, yeah, pause. Like guys like Klingon, you know, guys like Zach Edey, the more traditional big, right? We don't really see the traditional big dominating the NBA anymore, right? You know, I think somebody said like Zach Edey is Valanciunas if he was 6 inches taller. You know, like great, but like if you said Jokic and you said Embiid, and it's like for me, if I'm a talent evaluator, I'm like, hey, or a scout, whatever, front office guy in the NBA, I want my big to be able to do what those bigs can do. You know, like we've seen guys come in the league like Walker Kessler, right? Traditional big guy, rebound, block shots. He's what year? I think that last year was his rookie year, and now he's already being talked about as a potential trade target. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of role they carve out, because it's been a while since you needed bigs for a playoff run. Like back in the day, like you needed guys just to have 6 fouls for, you know, Shaq and, you know, KG, Dirk and Tim Duncan, all these bigs. Like you just needed extra bigs just for fouls. So like you said, like traditional bigs aren't really, you either got to be able to, you know, space the floor, or, you know, at least
be a lob threat. It's
yeah,
one or two.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of role these big men can carve out. You know, if they're not a generational offensive talent like, you know, Wemby and Embiid and Jokic.
Right. And I like what you said now about fit, because I think that's really more that's what the draft is always about. You hear about guys all the time, like they say, I want to go to the right team, I want to go to the right team. Because I mean, hey, you can be a guy that gets drafted at 14 to 17, and you go to a contender, now you have carve out a role, you know, you're looking like, hey, not a bad gig. Or, you know, you can go be the guy that's, you know, I'm fighting to be picked between 1 and 6, and now I go to the Pistons and it just don't work out. Or I go to the Hawks and then the Hawks decide to blow it up, and now I'm sitting here by myself, Trae Young gone, DeJounte Murray gone, and it's me and Clint Capella, you know what I'm saying? Or the Wizards even. So that's not to slight these organizations. I'm just saying that the fit is really more important come draft time. It's more important to me when I look at these guys and look at how they play, because I mean, Reece Shepard could be great, right? Rob Dillingham could potentially be a great guy. Like a lot of people talk about Rob Dillingham as like a Jamal Crawford, Bones Highland, 6-man kind of guy. But if he goes and he's a 6-man for the wrong team, Rob Dillingham's ceiling is a lot lower. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's something where he goes into kind of how Jordan Poole was forced into that role with the Warriors, where he's able to, hey, when you go in, we got these guys around you, you can just go get busy. That's a different story than when Jordan Poole got shipped off to Washington and it was a little bit different cast around him. So when we're looking at these players, like, you know, that's what this is going to come down to. More than anything is the fit. You know, I know Bronny, they came out, I think what Rich Paul said, Bronny just said he wants to hear his name called. That's the biggest thing to him in this draft. You know, some of that's draft talk. But I'm sure, you know, that's what the big thing is about. That's what this whole thing is about for these younger athletes. So like you said, now this is the premier basketball league in the world, right? So these are the best of the best. So people that call this draft week, call these guys week, you know, just wait and see. You know, it's a lot that could come about this. And in terms of some players that I really liked, I made me a little list like Dalton Connect from Tennessee. You know, he's an older guy. You know, we've kind of moved out of that realm of, you know, we draft a young 17, 18-year-old guy with potential. Like, you're going to get, there's guys in this draft that are just, hey, they might be 21, 22, but they can get you a buck and they can help you out, right? So I got him, Jamal Shedd that played at Houston. I think he's a dog in the later rounds. Terrence Shannon in the later rounds. Ryan Dunn, a guy who has potential to be, you know, we talk about those two-way players. Ryan Dunn is in that Herb Jones mold right now, coming from UVA. Not much of an offensive player, but, you know, scouts are saying this is the best guy that they've scouted defensively in the last 5 to 7 years. Like, hey, you know, a team that's all about fit right now. He go to a team where he can fit in right now, be a defensive stopper while we expand your offensive game. And you're looking at maybe the next Kawhi Leonard or something, you know. So, you know, guys like that, Stephon Castle as well, UConn. You know, I talked a little bit about the freshman guys not coming in with as much buzz. You know, he's another 5-star recruit, won a national championship. He only averaged like 11 points a game at UConn. But, you know, a guy that if he gets in the right situation, he can kind of thrive, you know, with the ball in his hands as well. So, you know, we'll see as far as that goes. But a lot of other things come with this draft now. And I think that's what, you know, a lot of the people are kind of, I think that's where a lot of the attention is. I know that's where your attention is, and that's where my attention is our teams are heavy in the trade market, in the free agent market. So draft day trades. Now, what do you think about draft day trades, man? Are there any draft day trades you hoping to see? Are there any that you want to call out right now that you got the script towards? Just looking at the draft day trades, because that also changed a lot of things. But we've seen the Trae Young, Luka Doncic swap on draft day and how that worked out for those teams, and looking at stuff like that. You know, we see all-stars get moved on draft day all the time as well. So, you know, are there any draft day trades that you're looking forward to? Anything that you're hoping to see, or just, you know?
I mean, from all the talk, I expect Houston to maybe make a move. You know, I heard someone say that they're in win now mode, which is funny, you know, having the third overall pick. But all everything points to them kind of making a move. I'm interested to see. I know the Spurs and Hawks have still been in talks. I just don't see the Spurs. I mean, the Hawks trading the pick, and I understand the Spurs not wanting to trade 4 and 8. I don't think, especially in this kind of draft, I don't think there's that much value in the number 1 pick, at least from 1 to 4, and then also having the additional 8 overall pick. So, I don't expect the Spurs to trade up, but I'm interested to see what kind of pieces they try to put around Wemby with 2 lottery picks. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping for some big draft day trades. Something to spice this this draft up.
I know you got your eyes on Paul George right now. I know that's something that you're looking at. What pick do you all have?
I think 20 something.
Probably like 22. We got 24 and 25.
I don't think anything gonna happen with Paul George anytime soon. We actually have the 16th pick.
Oh wow, okay, 16. So
yeah, I mean we were in the play-in this year, so that makes sense.
Hey man, it's I gotta say, it feels good to see the Knicks not picking in the lottery. You know,
shit, y'all need it.
So, if you were the Atlanta Hawks now, you got the number one pick. I know you said you probably wouldn't ship it off. So, as a general manager, you Landry Fields right now in Atlanta. Where are you leaning? You going Sar? You going Ricochet? You gonna take a chance on Klingon?
I'm probably
Reed?
taking Sar.
Sar?
Yeah.
I feel like Sar has the most star potential. That rhymes, huh?
Yeah.
In this entire
7
thing.
4 wingspan.
Yeah,
Like,
he's kind of that Wemby mold in a sense, right? He's not Wemby tall, but long, athletic, can put the ball on the floor, protect the rim. Like he's one of those guys that like at worst he's gonna be this to start. I think that's where a lot of the guys are when they look at
just
scouts looking at it,
comes
it's
out
weird.
comes down to how bad he wants it. Like, he's got the physical tools to, be a problem in the league. So,
Yeah,
I'll
and
see
this is
if he can develop some, better shot creation over the years. He should be a defensive monster out
yeah.
there. So, he
It's
takes his
always
offensive game seriously. He should be something.
it's always interesting to me, like when you look at guys, kind of how like the draft and stuff, like with a guy like Sar, right? People are like, oh, I want to look for the next Embiid. I want to look for the next Giannis. I want to look for the next so and so and so and so, right? But it's like Jokic even. A lot of these guys aren't the number one pick, right? Like who we're knowing. And that's why I said that because I thought what you said about how much he wants it. Because that's what it comes down to for a lot of these guys. Like how many times in the draft era have we seen a guy that's like, oh, he's got all the tools, he just can't shoot. I can't wait till he gets a jump shot. He can get a jump shot, and then he never gets one. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, when he gets stronger, and then he never gets stronger. So that's what it comes down to as well. Now, like you said, man, when we look at this draft, that's why I say fit is so important. Getting to a place where you're gonna be around the right people that want you to succeed. I think that's something that the Spurs did a great job with in getting Victor Wembanyama last year, right? That Spurs culture is perfect for Wemby. He's able to buy into that. It fits who he is as a kid, or as a person, rather, grown man. And all of that. So I think that's extremely important. I agree with you as far as what I would do if I was a Hawks. I think Sar is the easy, safe pick, just because like I was getting at, at worst, he's a defensive menace to start. He can do that. Come in day one, protect the paint, switch on to bigger wings.
And that's definitely something the Hawks need.
The Hawks need a lot of things. The Hawks need a lot of things. They got a point guard in Trae Young. They got to decide what they're going to do. They got DeJounte Murray as well over there. His name's been in a lot of trade talks, so they had to decide as well. But, I mean, I know a couple weeks ago we talked about this. I was like, yeah, trade them all. Just to see if you can get more draft capital. But, that's what it's going to come down to, right? If the Hawks draft Alexander Sarr or even any of these guys, right? And then they have Trae Young still in the building and DeJounte Murray in the building. They like, hey, look, this our shit. Excuse you. You know what I'm saying? That could be detrimental to a rookie's development. So we'll see how that goes, man. I'm excited for the draft. I mean, what?
But it also could help, not to cut you off, but
No, you
it
good.
could help since he's not considered like one of those.
Yeah,
He's not coming in as like a number one guy. Like, I'm coming in,
yeah.
I'm probably gonna average 15 to 20. Like, so, like, coming in playing a role could help him a bit at
And
first.
that's the benefit of the cost benefit analysis here of if you keep Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, like say the Hawks keep their core, right? Like this is a team that they usually fight for the play in, like the Hawks. Trae Young gets hurt and messes everything up, but you got a guy that averages what 27, 28, and like 10, 11 assists a game. You got DeJounte Murray, another 20 point per night guy. Two vets at this point, right? They've been in the league for a little while. You got Bogdanovich over there to stretch or to shoot the three ball. You got Clint Capella on the inside, and you put Sar in there somewhere, or they probably won't start Bogdanovich. What's the guy's name? Jalen Johnson. That's the guy that they like a lot. Hey, that's not a terrible starting five in the NBA if you think about it, right? Like you got Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Jalen Johnson, Sar, and then the Clint Capella. I mean, hey, you can compete with some teams depending on how it goes. So, we gotta see. as far as your Sixers, now you said you got pick 16. Is there anything that you want to see your Sixers do on draft night, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, man? You get to see the future of the Sixers. I remember, quick draft story. I remember I was watching the draft when y'all got Tyrese Maxey, man.
Stick
I
it
was
on.
sitting there. I think we was like 2 picks after y'all. I'm like, bro, we gonna get Maxey. We gonna be lit. And y'all stole him. And then we got Emmanuel quickly. But who's the next guy, man? That pick, what? Maxey was a lottery pick. He was like what?
Nah.
That was
He was
later
like
in the
20. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
that
like
was
20
he was out of the
something.
lottery. I thought it was like 17 or so. Okay, well, like, so hey, point in case we talking about, you might get a stud at 20. So what do you want at 16, man? Is there anybody that you looked at that you like, or maybe just a position of need that you like, hey, this is what my Sixers need, for my opinion.
Yeah,
And
I don't know
this
none
is
of
what I
these. I
want.
don't know none of these dudes, but like, yeah, we could use a 2-way wing, like, you know, or like a microwave, you know, bucket getter off the bench. That would be my preferred way to
Hey,
go.
if Rob Dillingham slides like they say, him and Maxey back
Or
there,
look,
Kentucky guards.
hey man, we need a backup center too. So like, not
Yeah,
trying to
y'all
be out
need
there
to.
with Paul. Not trying to be out there with Paul Reed again. So like, hey man, it's a lot of
Hey,
centers out there to choose from.
I'm kind of in the same spot as far as my Knicks go. We have 2 picks in this first round, and I always say, like, the Knicks hate draft picks, right? That's the whole thing about Tibbs. You know, Tibbs don't like rookies. Tibbs don't like this and that. And I think that was actually our downfall. I think the Knicks needed somebody that could, you know, be a younger guy that could play outside of just Miles McBride, who we drafted in the second round. The Knicks' last first round draft pick was actually Quentin Grimes, who is not on the team anymore. So I think actually our last few first round picks are no longer on our team. So I'm used to the Knicks getting undrafted, like Trevor Keels and stuff, and I get excited for summer league, and I'm like, oh, he might be good, and then like he don't even play on the team no more. Like, I want us to get, well, I don't think so anymore. But Zach Edey was somebody that I was kind of interested in. I saw something like somebody is interested in him at 7. I was like, hey,
You got it.
you know what I'm saying? If that's the price you want to pay, I wouldn't mind if he's at 25. Him, a guy like Khalil Ware, an athletic big as well that can put the ball on the floor. Ryan Dunn, who I said is one of my favorite guys. Obviously, I want him. I feel like everybody that talks about him, they just say he's a Tibbs guy, all defense. He can go in there with that second unit and give us another wing that can defend, the likes of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And, if we got to put a bigger guy on Tyrese Maxey, take a little pressure off my boy Jalen Brunson. But really, I'd like to see the Knicks package those 2 picks to move up and maybe get their guy. Like, whoever we see is like, hey, I really like this kid. Like, I really want him, hey, or, package one of them things, make a trade. Paul George, swing this way. We'll see. We'll see. That's the best part about this thing. And I think the good thing about the NBA is, like, you're only going to add 1 or 2 players in the draft each year, right? Most teams, maybe 3 if they, do some thunder stuff and stockpile a bunch of picks. But, guys are going to get drafted and traded out, so it's a lot of fun in that regard. We'll get to see that firsthand tomorrow and Thursday, Nell. But there is one thing. One polarizing man left in this draft, by the name of Brian James. We're a day away. I've seen reports that he's entrenched at 55 to the Lakers. I've seen reports, like I said, he just wants to get drafted. He didn't want to work out. Now they got today what the Raptors might be interested, the Sixers might be interested, the Suns might be interested, the Lakers, all these teams might be interested today. Is Bronny James going to hear his name get called tomorrow or Thursday? And if so, now, where would you say you see Bronny
100%.
James?
Yeah, 100%. He gets his name called to, within the next 2 days. I'm not. I'm honestly really not sure. Really not sure. I feel like there's going to be a team that, kind of. I could see, like, if there wasn't reports of all these random teams coming in, like I could see a Raptors or Suns. I hope not the Sixers, but I don't think the Sixers. Nah, that's unnecessary. But like, I could just see a surprise team coming out and just shocking us with the Bronny pick. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think he gets to the Lakers' second round pick. I don't. But I don't think the Lakers will take him in the first round. But I do think a team in between that will take him. Not sure who it is, but
Wow.
It's not going to be a team we expect.
Wow.
And he will get his name called. He will get his wish, but LeBron James won't get his. He will not be playing on the same team as his son.
Wow. That's bold. I think that's bold. Like, it almost feels weird to think that it's not going to be the Lakers, right? Like,
so weird that I think it's going to happen.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so weird that it could possibly not be the Lakers. But imagine if it does, man. Like, imagine that. I think I saw something funny on Twitter. They were like, so does he call Bron dad on the court or does he call him Bron?
Yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy.
You catch him mic'd up, dad. Like, that would be.
I just be like, I mean, could you blame him though? That would be natural.
Yeah, right. It would be. So that'll be fun, man. We will have LeBron James Jr. will be in the NBA this season, man. That's amazing to coming up. So, you know, we'll be watching. The whole world will be watching. Like Nell said, the ratings will depend on how long it takes for that name to be called, because I think that's what everybody wants to see. The NBA draft gets tipped off a lot on social media, so we might know where Bronny gets drafted before the draft even starts. Who knows? But, you know, that's our little draft synopsis, man. You know, me and Nell we're not like draft savants, right? Like, we're not just sitting here scouting players and doing that type of thing. No, we watch what we watch. If we like a guy, we root
Honestly,
for him. But
I could have done that, but like, I didn't feel like it.
It's all right, and that's natural.
There was nobody worth watching.
We not professionals, right? I know next year, right? We got Cooper Flag and those guys coming in. There. I'm sure, you know,
might have to hit up, Cameron Stadium. Might have to pop up in there, and
that ticket is gonna be that's gonna be Zion and RJ Barrett, Duke, pretty penny money. So we have that to look forward to.
We good for it.
Yeah, who?
Me and some people. You can pull up too. I know you go for it. Stop playing.
I will. I might go to a Michigan game this year, man. My Michigan boys down. Down last season. Hey, if I can watch Cooper Flag, I'm gonna go watch him.
Wasn't you at the national championship?
Yeah, I was in there, first row.
Come on, man. I know you can afford it. I know you can afford a big game.
That's just what I do. That's just what I do on my off day, man. But hey, speaking of off days, the off season, two things we wanted to touch on before, you know, like I said, we move out of this episode, man. JJ Redick, a podcaster himself, man. One of the guys that, you know, I know me and Nell used to look at a lot, you know, great former NBA basketball player, shooter, another Duke guy, right? He officially got the job.
Pump the brakes on great. Let's pump the brakes on great.
He was a great man. I mean, come on. He played in the league for
He was a great shooter. He was a great shooter. He wasn't a great basketball player.
Shooting is a part of the game. He's a part.
He is a he was great. He was great at one part of the game.
You play in the league for 15 years. You did the right thing.
Pretty damn good.
All right. Okay. A pretty damn good NBA player, great college player in his time at Duke. JJ Redick, one of the better basketball minds around, but has little to no head coaching experience. I think he coached volunteer coach for his son's 4th grade team. We thought it was going to be Dan Hurley. He turned him down. JJ Redick was the guy all along, according to Rob Pelinka. How do we feel that JJ Redick is going to fare as an NBA head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers this season?
All right, first of all, I just want to apologize to JJ. I ain't mean to. I sounded like a hater for a second. I'm not going to lie. So, like, if Keith thinks you're a great NBA player, I also think you were a great NBA player. Played for my Sixers, loves you. So,
there you go.
Anyway, but as far as him being the head coach of the Lakers, I honestly, I just have a feeling it'll work out. I don't think it'll result into a championship, barring any crazy, roster shakeup. But I think it's going to work out. It's not the first time we've seen an analyst, kind of show off their mind for the game, and it ended up, translating to a job in the NBA as a head coach. I think if you listen to JJ's podcast, you listen to him, during his calls during the game, he's clearly, he knows what he's talking about. He's got a great mind for it, and I just think he's young enough to, and the fact that he played, he's young enough to kind of just understand the new wave of like the NBA, and what works, and what teams need to do more of versus a lot of these older coaches that we have that still harp on the same philosophies, and they tweak it a little bit but not too much. I think JJ's like real in tune with what works in today's NBA, and I think we hear him talking with Braun about schemes, and I think he's going to have a great staff behind him as well. So I just think it's going to work out.
Right. I agree. I think it's going to be a good. I think it's a good match. I think the LA lights and all of that. Like, I think JJ Redick is prepared for that. His opening press conference, he blew it out the water. He told everybody what he don't care about and what he does care about. And I like what you said, Nell, about him being young enough to kind of relate to the modern day NBA player. That's the case. I mean, he played with some of these guys, right? I mean, if nothing else, he's going to get a lot of respect from guys around the league just from hearing him speak. A benefit, right, on Mind the Game. We watched him and Bron sit and talk basketball for hours. So, if nothing else, he understands what his best player is thinking on the basketball floor. His best player understands what he's thinking, right? And I think that's something that we talk about a lot with LeBron and coaches and all those things. Like, is that respect factor? Like, are we going to see LeBron go up to JJ Redick and take the clipboard and say, I'm going to draw something up? Like, is that going to happen? Probably not. I feel like JJ Redick is going to be able to command respect in that locker room. Being a former player, that's just kind of the way that the world is trending, right? It sucks to think about, but like you said, a lot of those older coaches, they just been around. These young guys don't really. I mean, shoot, I played at a pretty good high school basketball career. I coach high school basketball. These dudes trying to pull up my stats, talking about what you do. That's all they care about, right? That's how you get respect. They want to see, and I feel like that's how it kind of goes up and up, as the age goes on. So, JJ will get respected. I think LeBron being bought in will be the biggest thing. Having that, being able to kind of maximize Anthony Davis as well. I think he has potential to do that as well. So the reality is, though, they won't be a championship contender with this current roster. So that's where we kind of need to pump the brakes on it and think about true expectations for JJ Redick coming in. What is success? What does success look like in your first year? You've been a playing team for the last few years. So, I mean, if you become a playing team again, are you going to fire him? No, I'm not trying to see that. That don't make sense. So, hey, shout out to JJ Redick, man. It's good to see him, doing something, getting a shot. We always talk about, with experience. I just know in regular day-to-day life right now, like, oh, you've never managed people before. Well, I can't till you give me a shot. So, here we go. He has a chance to prove whether or not he can be a basketball coach in the NBA. And if not, he has a great exit strategy, right back to the booth, right back to podcasting, and he can go on about his life and be easy. So, I mean, I can't knock him for it, right? If I got offered a job to coach the LA Lakers, I'm going to get my ass up and go coach them too. So, I mean, hey, that's just where we are in today's NBA. So, we'll see. That's something to monitor. I want to see how he interacts, with this draft coming up, with Summer League roster, with the team, see what moves they make. I think they said they want to be all in to have a shot to win it. And this next year, I think they know they have to accept the Brown window is closing, right? So what do you do? Build this roster up, see what we got, see what we can do in this last couple seasons. See if Anthony Davis is the heir apparent to this guy as well. So we'll see. But, we're going to wish JJ luck. He's one of the guys that we like around here. So
those post-game press conferences are going to be box office.
Oh, boy.
That's going to replace the podcast for me.
Oh, yeah, he's going to say whatever he want to say, pretty candidly. Those that know JJ Redick get down. Back, you go back to the Duke days. JJ was a villain. You know what I'm saying? You hear him talking in the air. You hear him talking this podcast. Smart.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff, and he gonna tell her how it is. So that'll definitely be interesting.
I can't wait till he gets his first stupid question.
I mean, you already saw what he said the other day. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
We ain't even played a game yet.
Right. So if nothing else, man, the Lakers will be box office for something. Whether it's the post game, whether it's just him seeing how he adjusts, how he coaches. You know, regardless, we'll all be glued into the Lakers, man. But the last thing we want to talk about today, man, we had a trade. Not the biggest trade in the world, but a trade nonetheless. So a trade that moved the needle for some people, not so much for others. Alex Caruso traded from the Chicago Bulls straight up to the to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Lord, why was I thinking the Kings? To the Oklahoma City Thunder for Josh Giddey. A Giddey for Caruso trade in 2024 to start off the offseason. Now, it happened out of the blue, right? We didn't hear any rumblings of Alex Caruso to the Thunder. They didn't even. I mean, we knew Giddey's time was probably up in OKC. You know, they were starting him because they kind of had to, right? That's the politics of it all. But he knew after that season where he was going to the bench. I think Giddey came out and said something about, you know, where he is in his career. He's not trying to sit on the bench. He's not trying to come off the bench. So they made a trade happen. Now, did the trade move you, man? I know a lot of people are like, the Thunder, they're right there now. They got a defender. They got Lou Dort. They got Caruso. They got Shea, J-Dub, Chet. Like, they got one of the best defensive rosters in the league. Like, that's what people are saying. What do you think?
I think it's a good move. It doesn't really move the needle for me personally. I mean, but you know, it was like I said, it was a great move. They fleeced Chicago. To be able to move a guy that was benched the last couple of playoff games, and you know, a guy just didn't fit with that current roster. I was kind of confused at the draft pick when they took him in the lottery a couple years ago. Just, I mean, apparently the Bulls are high on him, but doesn't defend that well. Got benched because he wasn't knocking down shots, and they were just leaving him open. Needs the ball in his hands to be effective, and now he's going to a team with, you know, Kobe White had a breakout year, and you know, DeMar DeRozan's still there. We'll see what they do with Zach LaVine, but you already got guys that command the ball, so I'm not sure how that'll work out, but fresh start for him, maybe to reinvent himself and continue working on his game. And you know, for OKC, you know, number one in the West last year, and you get a guy that's, you know, been called, you know, one of the best role players in the game for the last couple of years. So I mean, it definitely can't hurt, but does it move the needle? I'm not coming into next year thinking they're contenders. You know, even when they were the number one seed, didn't have them getting past the second round. So you know, we'll see what other kind of moves they make. They still need size. We'll see what kind of progression, you know, Chet and Jalen Williams make next year. We already know what Shea's going to bring to the table, and you know, if he can improve and even get better. They've got a good roster. He's still got, you know, a ton of draft picks, and so you know, the future is still bright for them, but I don't think it's as bright as others think.
Yeah, I think there's only one true loser in this trade. I feel like it's Chicago,
For
just
sure.
from the simple standpoint that Alex Caruso was talked about as his asking price was through the roof. You know, for all this time, Chicago was like, we're not trading them for this, we're not trading them for that, we're not trading them for that. And then you get to the point where they like, hey, we got to trade him. And then you trade him and you get Josh Giddey, right? Like, does Josh Giddey suck? No. Like, he's not trash. But, I mean, like you said, like, he's kind of like a non-defensive Ben Simmons. You know,
Last
like,
time we saw him on the court, he was getting benched because he was pretty much he wasn't playable.
He doesn't know how to, like you said, he doesn't play without the ball in his hands. He's not a guy that is just going to stand in the corner, you give him the ball, and he's just going to create. That's what you would like for him to be, but, you know, he wants to dribble it up, you know, come off a couple screens, be the primary ball handler. And I don't think he gets that in Chicago either, like you said. But I mean, for him, no, he gets out of OKC where he wasn't going to play. Caruso gets out of Chicago where he wasn't going to win. The Thunder had a guy that, at the worst, can't hurt your team. Like you say, a consummate professional, one of the best defenders, on-ball defenders in the league, knocks down the three ball, so he's a 3-and-D guy. He doesn't ask for much, doesn't need much, low maintenance. I mean, you bring him into OKC back where he once was, and you hope for the best. But I agree with you in the sense that it doesn't move the needle because they still have some more glaring needs, right? Like they are still paper thin at center, figuratively and literally. Like they're small. Pause. Like they're just not a big team. Offensively, Shea's going to carry it, but like you said, can Jalen Williams and Chet take that next step? Jalen Williams took a big leap from year 1 to 2. Now we got 2 to 3. That has to be if he goes to where I'm averaging upwards of 25, that's a different story, right? We got a different ball game, a different team over here, right? So, we'll see, and that's why this is just an early move. I'm not mad at it. Sam Presti, continues to fleece these other general managers and things around the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if OKC does something magical on draft night. They seem to always do. So, we'll see, man.
They certainly got better.
Yeah, absolutely. The first trade of the offseason, they got better. You can't complain. I mean, you didn't give up a single piece of draft capital for him, and you bring in an all defensive guy for a guy that you weren't going to play next year anyway. Talk about return on investment. That you can't go wrong with that one. So, good move by the Thunder. We'll see how it pans out for Giddey and the Bulls. Well, the Bulls have a lot of questions to answer this offseason. They got DeMar DeRozan, they got Zach LaVine, 2 guys that are very clearly trying to get up out of there. Like you said, Kobe White is trying to flourish. They have a potential guy right there. Can they set it up so that he can, take that next leap? What do you have in Vucevic? Like, do you want to stay invested to him? So we're not used to seeing the Bulls just be bad, man. But the Bulls going to be bad for a little minute. So we got to see, where things go from here now. But hey, that's all we got, man. That's all I got. You got something to lead the people with today, man, or was it was just a one and done?
Yeah, that might have been a one and done.
That's all right.
Maybe I'll come back when I get there mentally 100%. Maybe I'll come back and I'll hit you with something, hit you with a surprise.
Hey man, whenever you have something to take away or to give us to take away, man, I'm always appreciative, man. So, as I always say, we appreciate y'all. Continue to listen to us, continuing to tap in every Wednesday or Thursday, maybe Friday, whenever you get to consume the pod. Showing love on social media, continue to do that at 2 for 2 pod on all platforms, man. IG, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, YouTube, everything. You can consume this podcast anywhere, and we appreciate y'all for doing so each and every week, man. The NBA draft is going to be tomorrow, so let us know, man, when y'all hear this, how y'all, what y'all think about y'all's team's draft. What do you think about the draft in general? The 2-day format, Bronny, whatever, man. You guys can always chime in with us. And we're going to keep giving y'all the best content that we can throughout this offseason until the NFL season rolls back around and we can really, really get back going and get Nell riled up and, see the cowboy hat, man. The people say they don't want to see the hat
anymore. You ain't about
to
see that. You ain't about to see that hat no more.
We're going to see the hat, man.
This ain't the season for that hat.
we got to see the hat. But like I said, man, with that, that's going to do it for us here at 2 for 2, Season 3, Episode 46. I got a secret. We're really close to 100 episodes. We out.